Hey, what's up, YouTube? I'm on my way to go get my daughter from school, so I thought I'd take a few minutes to try to make a short video if I can. Um, so, Marshawn Kneeland from the Dallas Cowboys, um, you know, I guess really, I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about, mental health, especially for men. You know, in our society, um, at least in America, I can't speak for other countries, but at least here in America, and especially for men that are in the South. I'm guessing for the North too. I don't think it really matters. Um, we're pretty much not all men, but most are basically taught to kind of hide our feelings, I guess you could say, and basically as a man, whatever we have going on, we should be focused on our priorities, regardless, of if we're upset, about a particular thing, or, you know, or whatever the case may be. And obviously, generally speaking, it's in most cases the opposite, for ladies. And I think that is a glaring difference between men and women as far as um, I don't even know what I can actually say as far as getting blocked from YouTube or whatever, but kind of unaliving yourself, I guess, is the best way I guess I can put it. I don't know what else, any other way I can put that. And every time there's some major star that dies, especially if it's from like drug related accidental overdose, that kind of thing, or especially if it's suicide for for a week or 2 weeks, it'll be, we need to shed more light on this, we need to talk more about this. And every single time it'll last, a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month if we're lucky, and then it's not talked about at all. And then it happens again to some big star, football player, actor, singer, actress, whatever it may be, and then we do the same process again for about 2 weeks, and then we don't. Over and over and over and over, year after year after year after year. And as far as social media and all that goes, I'm basically nobody. I got maybe 89, 90 people on my channel. I mean, and I've had the same 90. It hasn't gone up like in the last couple of days or anything. I've had the same 90 for the past month or so, which I appreciate every one of you people. Fantastic. I appreciate it. um, but as a whole, it does need to be talked about more. But it doesn't need to be talked about only after something happens to somebody. The whole point in bringing light to it and bringing attention to it and talking about it is to try to prevent it from happening so often, if not altogether. And that Dallas Cowboys player, he was 24 years old, man, had his whole life ahead of him, and on top of that, it's not like he was a throwaway player. He scored a touchdown last week for the Cowboys, and if I'm not mistaken, it might have been the only touchdown last week for the Cowboys, off of a blocked punt. And I mean, it looked like that guy was gonna, have a relatively good career, in the future, as long as he didn't get any major injuries. And I'm not gonna say that there's people that failed him, because generally speaking, none of us know what to look for, and sometimes people hide it very, very well. Just because somebody's depressed doesn't mean they're crying. It doesn't mean they're sad. It doesn't mean they're going to. It doesn't mean that they're going to show that they're upset. Sometimes it's behind, you know, them telling jokes and joking around with people and smiling all the time, putting up a facade because they don't want anybody questioning them, because they don't want to burden anybody. And what goes along with that is they end up feeling like nobody understands how they're feeling, what they're thinking. And I think it's more so that, especially for men, they don't want to burden their family or friends or coworkers. That they don't want people worrying about them, but yet they're not necessarily able to kind of take care of it in a positive way on their own. And I don't know really almost anything about Marshawn Kneeland, other than I've seen it. Being a Dallas Cowboy fan, I know. However, being a Dallas Cowboy fan, I've seen some like random video clips and stuff, just like through social media, things like that, and seems like seems like a totally normal guy, just kind of at work, doing his thing. He didn't have an attitude. He seemed like a relatively calm person. And again, I don't know him personally. There's no stories about him. Like, it's not like there's stories about him partying all the time, showing up late for practice, or not showing up at all for practice, or complaining about this, complaining about that. I've never heard or seen anything like that about him. And, there may have been no way for any of his, teammates to recognize, like, hey, something seems a little weird or anything like that. He might have just came across totally normal, and on top of that, everybody else is kind of doing their thing. As long as everybody seems to be cool with everything and good, then they're just going on about their day. Um, you know, but definitely information about these type of situations needs to be, discussed more. Not only discussed more, but more people in our society that's not a psychiatrist or a therapist or anything like that. It's crucial for the sake of of your own families, or even for yourself, to try to learn and recognize some basic things maybe. And it doesn't have to be that oh, so and so is all of a sudden quiet and depressed about stuff. It can be any type of change in their behavior or what they're doing. And if it doesn't, it just seems off. People need to pay attention to that. And apparently, he had a history. I don't know to what extent, but apparently he had some sort of history with, mental illness. And what that is, what that entails, I don't have the slightest clue. But if it's known that he had a history, and then on top of it, his mom passed away a year ago. Now, I don't know if he if he did what he did on the day of her anniversary, I don't know the exact day that she had passed. Uh, it's hard enough on somebody that doesn't necessarily have a mental illness, you know, but that gets amplified by a bunch when somebody's already struggling. Um, and so it's really unfortunate that happened. Young, very young guy, and unfortunately, when people get into that state of mind, it's not like they're thinking about their friends and their family members that are going to have to deal with the aftermath. They're just thinking they can't deal with what they have going on anymore, and that is it. And it's just too much, and they want it to stop, and then they do what they do. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not. And that's another thing. It's not like all of a sudden, just randomly out of the blue, this player, did what he did. One, he's either attempted it before but couldn't go through with it, or two, he's thought about it before and has never done it. And then eventually he thought about it enough times, the thoughts basically won. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know exactly how to talk about it really. I'm not a professional, therapist or anything like that. I just know, um, maybe it couldn't have been prevented, but at the same time, maybe if more people were aware of this type of stuff, um, maybe there's some slim chance that somebody could have picked up on something, that was a little bit off. Um, so, yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit, and just basically also spread the message that we don't know what anybody's going through, be it your mom, your dad, your daughter, your son, your sister, your friend, uh, classmate, whatever it may be, a coworker, even a customer that is a total stranger that you don't know. You don't know what anybody's going through. And in a lot of cases, maybe nothing did happen. Maybe somebody didn't lose a family member yet. Maybe they haven't had any like a major event in their life happen. Sometimes it's just as simple as a chemical imbalance in their brain, and they can't always. First of all, um, it's not easy to recognize when you're the one that's the one struggling with something. If it's bipolar or schizophrenia or depression, whatever it is, you don't notice it because you're just doing your day-to-day life, and you don't notice like, oh, hey, I'm feeling like this, so I need to see a doctor because it might be this or this or this. Most people just don't know it. And in some cases, it gets really, 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 really bad to where other people notice it, and it's other people that get them the help. And the individual doesn't even want help. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not getting enough sleep. They try to rationalize whatever it is. So it's definitely tough to deal with. I have a sister that has bipolar, and anybody that knows anything about bipolar, that is not an easy road to go down. And yeah, I guess my message is we need to try to be more thoughtful of others instead of being so selfish. Most of our society is selfish. Selfish, selfish, selfish. And even just driving down the road, you can see it. You get cut off. You cut people off because other people have cut you off, and on and on and on. And people keep doing that. Then they get in a wreck, and then they want to blame the other person, even though they're the one that cut the other driver off. It's human nature to be selfish. What about me? What about I? I don't care where you have to be. You're on the road too. I don't care where you have to be. I need to be in front of you. I can't tell you how many times on purpose while I'm on the highway, whenever I'm going about the same speed as a car that, maybe I'm next to the car or whatever, I'll hit the gas a little bit, not floor it or anything like that, but just enough where I start pulling ahead of them because I know what they're going to do. 99% of the time, I know what they're going to do. As I'm pulling a little bit faster than them, boom, they take off. They can't let anybody in front of them. Because, oh no, I have to be in front. I have to be first. And, maybe it's always been like that in America, but I can tell you it's gotten worse. I'm only 35, and it wasn't as bad when I was younger than it is now. And, nobody, especially, nowadays, everybody's in their phone, not paying attention. I have a teenager that's about to start driving pretty soon. I mean, she's practicing now, but she's one of those teenagers that just gets totally zoned out. And I'm teaching her, like, when you come up to a green light, expect somebody's about to run it. Approach that green light like somebody's about to run it. Don't just be looking straight ahead. Look left and look right, like you're coming up, one, to a red light, and two, like some idiot is going to run the green light. Their red light. And because people are stupid. They're just straight up stupid and selfish. And maybe one video at a time, by making these videos, maybe eventually it'll reach enough people to actually start making a difference. And maybe we even need to start making multiple videos about mental health awareness, on a pretty regular basis. Maybe, once a week or something like that, twice a month or something, just about mental health. So the videos will start to get in circulation, and people won't be able to help but see the videos. And yeah, I don't really know much else to say about this topic, but other than let's just try to look out for one another. And if you're a man, or even teenagers go through it too. Kids go through it too. 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. I don't care what your age is, and if you're a man, it's okay to ask another buddy of yours that's a man, hey, everything good? You're all right. I'm here for you if you need me. Because believe it or not, men will open up to each other. But if you're all going to be, a bunch of toxic men, then ain't nobody going to open up about nothing, no matter what you're going through. No matter if you're going through a divorce and you feel like you can't go on, like they're, like whatever it is, doesn't matter. You had a bad day at work, freaking talk about it with a buddy. Seriously, talk about it with another coworker. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So yeah, let's just try to be nicer to one another than what we have been, especially the past 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever it's been. You know, when people start getting divorces and cutting their family off because of a person that they voted for, guess what? It doesn't matter what party you vote for; they're all doing the same damn thing. Period. They all tell us what they think that we want to hear to get our votes, and they know dang good and well if you're a Republican, most likely you're going to vote R R R R R. If it has an R by it, you're probably just going to vote for it, not knowing anything about the other side. If you're a Democrat, they know you're going to vote anything that has a D, not knowing anything about any of the Republicans. They know that. That's it. All they have to do is sound good to you and be in your face enough on the internet, on videos, on TV, and in commercial ads and all that stuff, and they know that you're going to vote for them. Because it is way too easy to read our society. Got people over here, oh, Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that, blah, 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 blah. Half of them don't even know any of the facts about whatever they're spewing out of their idiot mouths. And same thing with the Republicans. Joe Biden this, Joe Biden that, whatever, whatever, whatever. If you're going to say stuff about people, when somebody comes to you and like, can you show me what you mean? Do you have evidence? Don't show evidence of another human being talking about it. Show some evidence of what you're saying if you're going to be calling somebody this thing or that thing or whatever. So anyways, moving on from that, anybody that watches this video, I appreciate it. I hope you all have a great day. Today is Monday. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I will catch you next time.